Welcome back to the channel. Tonight it's Saturday evening. My wife and my daughter are out, so I'm taking this opportunity to do some mods. I'm going to be doing the same thing to two guitars essentially. I've got a Squier Affinity Telecaster, which I'm going to take the tuners out of and measure to see if the new Kluson tuners. So I've just got some Kluson 6 LN tuners. There we go. Can you see that? There we go. They've just turned up in the post. I'd show you the box, but unusually for Tom, they've all fallen out of the box. They were packed really badly. Tom usually kind of over package things rather than under package things, but this time they didn't package them at all, and the box broke. Anyway, they're tuners, so what's going to happen? All the bits are there. That's the main thing. So I'm going to take the tuners out of the Affinity, put these ones in, and then I'm going to fill some holes from the old Squier tuners, which were in my daughter's mini Strat, which weren't very good, and I'm going to put the ones out of the Affinity in there. I don't think she needs anything more than that at this point. So that's tonight's mod. Right, first of all, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to take all of this plastic stuff off the pick guard and the pickup here. Take the strings off. Take the tuners out. With any luck, the new ones will fit in. That's the strings off. So, and now I can get into the scratch plate here, and I'm just going to actually take the screws out so I can pull the plastic out from underneath the screws. Okay, so there's all the screws off, and as you can see now, I can get all of it off, rather leaving annoying pieces underneath the screw holes, which stick out and make a mess. Okay, time to get the tuners out. Realise I missed the golden opportunity there, which is to have a look underneath and see what electronics are on. So these are the pickups. When I get my electromagnetic field reader, I will test the gauge on those. And while we're here, may as well look under the control panel as well, because why not? Let's see what's under here. And yeah, unless I'm very much mistaken, all those aren't alpha pots. I wonder what time's a little green cap there on there. I don't know. I don't recognise those pots. I haven't seen those ones before. I'm guessing it's an Affinity, so they should be better than the bullet pots. But I was actually quite impressed with the tolerance of the alpha pots, the mini alpha pots that usually get installed. Okay, interesting. Alright, let's put this back together. You know what? While I'm here, I've decided I'm going to do another mod. I just saw this on a video. One of my good friends posted on one of the Facebook groups I'm a member of. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around this control plate so it's this way. Hopefully it'll all fit in. Yeah, it will. But in order to make it intuitive, I'm going to have to switch this switch round. And what that will make it easy to do is swells on the volume here. So why not? It's an easy mod. Let's do it. There we go, that's done. So now I've got the volume knob right here and the tone here, and then the switch is over here, neck, middle, pickup. I just turn that round. I had to kind of make a bit of space in there, but it didn't take too long. Hopefully I've not completely cocked up the electronics. So that's one mod already done. Great. Onto the tuners then. I'm going to take off this string tree only because I'll only end up giving myself a cut. So this takes a 12, 10, 11 millimeter spanner, as we call it in England, wrench as you call it, on the other side of the pond. Now we turn it over, and the reason we do it this way is if we do it the other way, the tuners fall out. And we take these little screws out, and I'm hoping that's a 10mm hole. Right, so here's the new tuners, and that hole is close enough. It may not be quite 90 degrees, but to save myself having to fill and drill, I'm going to call that straight, and I'm just going to plug these back in. Couldn't be easier really. And those are what you call in the modding business a drop-in. They just go straight in. It couldn't be easier. And then I'm just going to pop these over. You want the kind of the edge that's curved this way. You can see that to go on top. That is that guitar done. I'm going to put the strings back on in a bit. So that's two mods really. So we've got the switch over of the control plate, so you can use this to easily do swells. You can also use this as a wah, like this when it's a bit closer to the edge. That's now bridge, middle, neck, and nice new Kluson tuners. So yeah, happy days. Okay, so next up, this is my daughter's little Strat Mini. I'm going to take this bizarre melange of tuners out, which just I had it on just so it works. And I'm going to try and fill those holes in the back left by the rather hole heavy stock tuners that come with these Squier Minis and Bullets. The next piece involves the judicial use of toothpicks. I lost a little bit of video, so I'm filling it in here and showing you what I did, and you'll see a little bit more in the speedy uppy bit coming up. What I've done is I've taken an ordinary toothpick made of birch, I think, snip the pointy bit off, then I've made lots of little pieces like this, and here's some wood glue. I've liberally doused an end in wood glue like that, if you can see that, and popped it in the hole. And that's what you'll see in the time-lapse video that's coming up. That's it. That's all done, so I'm going to leave that to dry. I would usually leave it overnight and come back to it tomorrow. Probably I'd leave it for 24 hours, even though this says it dries quickly. I would leave it for a long time until it's completely dried. Right, the glue's all dried now. I just snipped these down a little bit just to make it easier for the next piece. I've added some just painter's tape because I'm going to be working on flattening out these surfaces and I want to minimise the damage to the rest of the guitar. So what I've got is some of these snippers are actually nail snippers, but they're pretty flat around the edge there, which means I can get in really close when I'm snipping them off. I'm just going to take these here, get as close as I can to the headboard and snip them off. The next stage then I'm going to use a Stanley knife. As you can see there, it's another filled, the hole's filled pretty nicely. I'm just already did this one. I'm just getting it down pretty close now to where it needs to be. You can see now why the tape comes in handy. Alright, so I'm going to continue doing this. And in fact, you know, I've actually with the Stanley knife be able to get it pretty much right. I'm not sure I need a razor blade. I'm going to take off this paper and then we can start drilling the new holes. Measuring and drilling the new holes. I've just taken a little bit of 600 grit sandpaper here and I'm just at the edge of my finger just sanding off, again going with the grain as much as possible. Yeah, that's already looking pretty nice. So there we go, that's it done after it's been sanded. You can see it's looking a little bit nicer, and then as you pull back it's pretty, not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's good enough for me. In case anyone's wondering, this came with 8mm holes, and what I didn't film this part unfortunately. What I did was I took this reaming tool, it's a hand reaming tool which I ordered off Amazon. It wasn't like that expensive, and if you look at the thing, I'm not going to touch it too much because it's sharp, but it gets wider and wider and wider, and this for me is the safest thing to use on a guitar headstock. I've already broken one neck or one headstock. We'll try and do this with a drill and using the wrong tool as well. You can get reaming tools for, but I just now, call me superstitious, I'm happier using this. And you put this in and you twist it round and round and round and round till it goes all the way through. I tend to swap round every once in a while, but that's how you ream the headstock. It probably takes about half an hour. Gives you a bit of muscle ache because you use muscles you don't normally use, but that for me is the safest way to widen these holes out to 10mm, which is the standard Kluson style tuner diameter. So let's get these tuners. We're just going to pop these in the holes at the moment. I'm just going to use a ruler. I'm going to hold that against there and push them basically till they all go straight. Now they should be at a perfect angle for the headstock, against the headstock shall we say. There we are. A lead pencil that's actually got some lead in it. There we go, poke that out there, and then very carefully draw around the little hole without moving the tuner. Whoops. And there we've got a little space where we want to drill. Okay, out with the tuners. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to tap. Just going to find the middle of that hole. And just tap a tiny. whoops, guide hole in there, and then I'm going to go and do that for all of the. So, having decided not to drill the holes, I've now remembered why it's important to drill pilot holes, because I've ruined the thread on the top of a couple of screws. Fortunately I've got lots of them. So what I've done is I've got my tiniest drill bit here, and I've just marked off. I really don't need to drill in that far at all. Just marked off how far I need to drill in, because I do not want to drill through the headstock, and I've done that before too. There's one. Now we just need to put the tuners in. Simple. So that's that. Tuners are in. That's the tuners that were on the Affinity Telecaster, now in the Squier Mini. Looking good. So if any of these tuners are quite stiff, which is not too stiff, but they're firm enough. But just in case anyone isn't aware, you can tighten them up with this screw in the end here slightly. I'm not going to, because they're fine, but if you tighten that screw up, you can get them feeling a bit more firm, and that improves the tuning stability. So that is the Squier Mini done. So we've taken the tuners out of the Affinity Tele. We've put in some Klusons in there, which just drop straight in. And then we had to do a little bit more work to get these tuners into the Squier Mini, filled and drilled, as they say. You can see it looks pretty good now. You have to kind of get up close to see that there's some drill holes in there, and new tuners on. I got some more work to do on this, just kind of, I'm going to file off the fret ends and file down the fret ends and round off the fingerboard just to make it a little bit more playable. But apart from that, and of course set the intonation and the action and all that kind of thing, then it'll be ready to go. But I think that's enough for this video. Thanks for watching. I might do a quick video of the fretboard work, so you can see it's really easy. So you can see if you need to do that for yourself, but that's probably another video. Maybe do that tomorrow. Have a great day, evening, morning.